What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of The News. I am Matt, and joining me today is Cody. Cody, how you doing, man?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me back on. Glad to be back. Now we got a little bit of a rhythm going.
Absolutely. I'm definitely excited to get into today's show. We got a few movie news to talk about today, and then also, I'm going to tag it on at some point in the video. We will have a Rings of Power review, just like a quick few minute review of the first two episodes. That premieres at the time of this recording anyway, in like 16 minutes. So I'll just attach it because I'm going to have to watch it tomorrow morning at some point. But I hope you guys are having a great Friday. Hope you guys had a great week so far. If you're a college football fan, this is a great weekend for you. A lot of great matchups. So, with that being said, let's get into our first story. And our first story is this. So, about a few months ago, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness came out to theaters. I don't know about you, Cody, but I really enjoyed that movie. Did you happen to see it yet or no?
Yeah, I did. Yep.
All right. And did you like it or did you not like it?
I did. I actually did. I kind of think of it a little bit. So I'm a pretty big horror fan. Like I like
Yeah.
horror stuff. I didn't think it was necessarily scary, but I definitely
Mhm.
think it was kind of like, for some of those, potentially like kids who are interested in horror, it's
Yeah.
kind of like a gateway horror movie in some ways. So I really did enjoy it a
Yeah.
lot. It'd be like kind of a movie that, somebody around middle school to high school age, if they're wanting to get into that a little bit, it could be kind of a nice taste of what it's like, but not fully. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, all that being said, I really thought it was a good movie.
Mhm.
Was really, yeah. I mean, I freaking love Wanda in that movie. I'll just say that
Yes.
she's a beast. So, yeah, I thought it was a really good movie and a little bit darker and gruesomer than I think we're normally used to with a Marvel movie. So, I
Yeah.
was a big fan of that. Yeah.
Yeah, like, I mean, it was definitely a movie I wouldn't recommend taking a 5 or 6-year-old to just because it might scare him a little bit, but really liked it. Even my dad, who hasn't really liked some of the stuff that Marvel's done in the past few years, he actually enjoyed it quite a bit too, and just seeing the Sam Raimi stuff being put into the movie, just with the way the film is shot at times, that was really cool to see. I do enjoy Sam Raimi, so them using some of the Sam Raimi things in this movie is really cool, but initially, there's supposed to be a different post-credit scene in the movie,
Mm.
and this is coming from Empire, I believe.
Yep.
He did it. The writer of the movie, Michael Waldron, he did an interview, I believe, with Empire, and he was asked about Doctor Strange and if there was anything different that was in the script, and he revealed that there was going to be a different post-credit scene than what we got in the movie, and it happened to involve Mr. Fantastic. So I'll read a quote for you guys. Michael Waldron said, "In my very first draft, I wrote a tag just for the hell of it of the events of the movie being recorded and reviewed by someone in the Baxter building and a stretchy hand coming into frame to run it back. Reed is probably my favorite Marvel comic character, so I was always gunning to get him in there somewhere." Um, Now this obviously would have been really cool. But at least in my opinion, and I'll definitely go to you in just a second, Cody. Unless it was a different Baxter building, I don't think this makes sense because obviously, if you've seen the movie, spoiler alert, Mr. Fantastic in that universe does not make it. He turns into string cheese, for lack of better words. So it would definitely have to be either our version of Reed Richards, like the current MCU world's Reed Richards, or somebody else, because it wouldn't make sense unless for some reason he could just come back from the dead, which wouldn't really make sense either. But I'll go to you, Cody. What are your thoughts in this post credit scene? I know with this movie there's certain things that's changed from the first draft, but what were your thoughts on hearing this post-credit scene idea, and is this something you would have wanted to see?
Yeah, I mean, I would have loved to see that. I would have loved to see it. Obviously, you're right. Like in the right universe, it makes a lot of sense,
Yeah.
and I would have been totally okay with it because then it builds the hype. I think a lot of people were kind of puzzled. I know, like in the
Mhm.
theater when I watched it, a little bit puzzled at the ending, right? Just like, what in the world,
Yeah.
wasn't expecting that, and so I think it would have definitely built the hype a little bit more. I would say I was a big fan, and the ending was just a little bit like, is that how they're going to end it? Okay. I
Mhm.
would have preferred something like that would have kept us wanting to come back, I guess, a little bit
Yeah.
more. That's just my opinion of it, of course. But yeah, that's kind of where I stand on that. I love, and obviously, we all know Marvel's inability to do anything well with the Fantastic Four so
Yeah.
far, a la Fant Four Stick. But yeah, I would have loved to see them do that and then kind of open the door potentially for, whether it is John Krasinski or whether it is somebody else
Yeah.
to take on that role and kind of build the hype into that. So that's kind of my
Right.
perspective on it, but certainly would have loved to see it.
Yeah, I think it would have been cool. Like with this movie, I think having 3 post-credit scenes, if they were gonna do something like this, I would have been cool with because I think the first one they show where Doctor Strange and Clea, I believe, Charlize Theron, they go and they're hunting down incursions, trying to stop it and whatnot. So I obviously think that's important because of Secret Wars, but and I also the last post-credit scene, is it necessary? Not really, but I still enjoyed it. It was a homage to Evil Dead with Papa Pizza slapping himself over and over again as we saw in the movie, and then it stops. I really did enjoy that. So if they made a post-credit scene, like a third one with Mr. Fantastic, that would have been really cool. It's just it wouldn't make sense. And then also, just based on what the post-credit scene was, like you would also begin asking questions of, well, how are they recording stuff from a different universe, and it would begin to open up a lot of questions. So if
Right.
Mr.
Yeah.
Fantastic wasn't in the Illuminati, I think this would have been just a perfect post-credit scene, would have got a lot of people really excited because we all know Fantastic Four is coming in
Mhm.
2024. It would have got a lot of people super excited, but it just unfortunately doesn't make sense, but it is nice to know that that was an idea that they were going to come up with. So, let us know your guys' thoughts down below. Is this a post-credit scene you would have wanted to see? What are some other post-credit scene ideas that you can think of that you would have liked to see on the big screen? Let us know in the comments down below. And now we're going to move on to our next story. So, obviously, I believe they came out in the 80s, but the Hellraiser movies, very, very popular for that time, slasher movie with Pinhead. Um, and they've been trying to make more movies, just never really worked out. The first couple, I think, were enjoyed by most people. Me personally, I might have seen the first one like one time, but compared to like Freddy Krueger, Jason, characters like that, Pinhead has never really been somebody I think of when I think of, iconic horror characters. But obviously, if you're big into that genre, Pinhead is one that, might come up to mind. Well, they announced, I think last year, that they were going to make a new Hellraiser movie. And rather than Pinhead being, played by a man, it's being played by a female. And actress's name is Jamie Clayton. And, some people were upset about this, but the people that read the books, they weren't too upset about it because, the character was female in the books. It was more of a feminine character rather than, a male character. So that's why I never was like, "Oh, what are they doing? Why are they doing this?" Because it just makes sense, like they're basing it more off the novel, so it all made sense. But
Yeah.
anyway, we finally got our first look at Jamie as Pinhead, and let me pull up those images real quick
Yep. I
for
see
you
him right
guys,
here.
really quick, because you know, I mean, it's just like it's like 2 images. It's not much. So
Yeah.
here they are. Obviously, you see Jamie as Pinhead right there, and then here's the other one with her. So just like a little sneak peek of what they look like. So Cody, seeing these images, what are your thoughts? Is this something that I guess makes you excited for the movie? Do you like the look of the character, or do you not like it quite yet?
So I think it's important to remember that, like, they weren't going to try to basically just reenact, what, the guy, basically, Bradley, the actor Doug Bradley in the movie,
Yeah,
what his look was. They wanted to kind of go for something, obviously similar because they are, the same species, but also, a little bit different, like a little bit different
yeah,
of a look for a Cenobite. And I never really necessarily grew up with them. I like horror, but I've never really gotten into the Hellraiser. I actually have never even attempted to watch them. So maybe that's something
yeah,
I will do eventually. But but yeah, anyway, going back to this, like I'm honestly okay with him trying some things, because who's to
Right.
say that they all should look the same, like,
Mhm.
and I know some people like, they can kind of get up in arms about this. I'm personally okay with it. I don't really have, because it's kind of like with anything, Matt. Like, if you're gonna
Mhm.
follow up a legendary performance like that, like you're
Yeah.
never gonna get the full grandeur of what it was. You're just never going to be able to basically be that person again. And so, I
Right.
am honestly fine with it. I think it looks just fine. I'm totally fine with them wanting to kind of go a little bit of a different direction, kind of see what sticks.
Yeah.
So I don't really have any issue with it. I know some people might, but the look to me is it's fine. Let's just see how the movie is before we go freak out about the look. Again, I say
Right.
this coming from somebody who never really watched the movie, so maybe there is a little bit of nostalgia for some people who grew up with that and kind of have a little bit of a nostalgia glasses on, if you will. I'm not one of those people. So
Mhm.
again, I get the people who maybe are a little bit upset about it.
Right. And speaking of Doug Bradley, the director of the movie said that this version of Pinhead is not going to be a copy of what we saw with the original movies. It's going to be different. What the director said, and I'll read a quote real quick for you. The director said, "What Doug Bradley did with the character is so iconic. We didn't want to do a Doug Bradley impression. We just didn't think that was possible to do. There will be suffering, but you're going to get a sense of what Pinhead desires might be in a way that hits a little different." So I like that they're not just going to try to, copy what Doug Bradley did. They're going to give it a little different taste. They're going to give it a different spin. And that's something I like. As far as the look, though, I mean, I'm cool with it. It looks like Pinhead. If Pinhead was a woman, that's what it would look like. I think the look is fine. Obviously, I wanna see a trailer, and I'm sure because we're getting photos, a trailer is gonna be coming pretty soon because I think the movie comes out in October,
October
if I'm not
7th. Yep.
mistaken. October
Yep.
7th, so we gotta be getting a trailer soon. We're less than 2 months. Like, we're gonna be approaching a month next week, so we
Yeah.
gotta get some footage. I'm fine with it as a still, I just need to see what, she looks like as Pinhead. I mean, if she's great, that's awesome. If she's not great, then obviously that's not good. Um, but who is playing Pinhead as far as gender goes, that's not going to determine whether the portrayal is good or not. Again, they're going more faithful to the novels, to the books. So, you know, I was always fine with it and it
Yeah.
was never something I was gonna freak out about. But there we have it, guys. Let us know your thoughts on the look of Pinhead in the comments down below. Are you excited for the new Hellraiser movie? Do you think it's gonna be good, or do you think it's just gonna be terrible? Let us
Yeah.
know in the comments down below.
Yeah.
I
I have a
really do hope
question,
it's good.
Matt, before we
Yes.
move on, just
Yes.
about this. Did you see Night House, the movie Night House?
Um,
The Night House.
I I believe so.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so just so you know, the screenplay of the film is going to be is by the two of the people who helped out with him as well. So
Okay.
who helped out with that movie as well. So I personally like that movie. So that kind of helps me be a little bit more encouraged, like it's going to actually be good.
Nice. Awesome. Yeah, I do need to watch that movie again. Just to get a refresher because like I said, I don't even remember if I've seen the movie, so,
Sure.
it was probably one of those movies I watched, maybe late at night, it was just on or whatever, but so I just watched the first 2 episodes of Lord of the Rings: The Rings of Power. Now, this is a show that has been talked about a lot on the internet. There's a chunk of people that are definitely looking forward to this show. They love the movies. They are definitely looking forward to the show and seeing what Amazon is going to do with Lord of the Rings. But there's also a chunk of people that aren't as excited for the show. There's a chunk of people that are worried that this show is going to not follow what Tolkien has made. These are people that know a lot about Tolkien's world that he made with Lord of the Rings. And, those people think that this show is not going to be faithful to what Tolkien created. Me personally, I'm not among those people. I don't know a whole lot about the world of Lord of the Rings outside of the movies. Okay, I've seen the movies a few times. I haven't read the books. I haven't read into the lore that is Lord of the Rings. I just haven't done that. So I've been looking forward to the show. I didn't like the last trailer mostly because of the music that they use. I felt like that just kind of threw the trailer off for me personally, but I definitely liked a lot of what I saw. But again, I'm not somebody who knows a lot about this world. I just know some of it because I've seen the movies a few times. So I've been looking forward to it. I was always curious to see what Amazon was going to do with this show. So what did I think about this show? I will say that I feel like, similar to a lot of people, but I feel like the first episode is honestly quite boring. Um, if I'm going to be completely honest. Now, I know the first episode is doing a lot of world building. I totally understand that. But there's plenty of shows out there where their first episode is doing a lot of world building, but the show is still entertaining and not boring. I go to shows like The Boys. The first episode of The Boys is not boring. It definitely gets you hooked onto the show, and it's doing world building. Game of Thrones is another show that has a lot of world building in its series premiere, but the episode is not boring. Breaking Bad is another show where the first episode is doing world building, but it's a fantastic episode that keeps you engaged. This episode, I don't think is all that bad. I just wasn't a fan of it. I wasn't that much of a fan of the first episode. I thought there were good things in there, and I'll talk about it. I'll talk about that in a minute when I get to the second episode. But I just really felt like this episode was boring. you know? So, as far as the second episode, though, I will say it's definitely a step up. I enjoyed the episode more. I wasn't bored watching episode two. Was it fantastic? No, I don't think the second episode was fantastic, but I definitely thought it was better than the first episode. And I do want to apologize if, I'm kind of slurring a few of my words. I am pretty tired. I worked third shift, so I literally am about to fall asleep. But, anyway, to get back to the thing, I definitely enjoyed the second episode more than I did the first episode. I didn't think it was boring. Now, as far as things I liked, visually speaking, for a TV show, I mean, it's masterful. You can tell that the money definitely went to good use. It looks beautiful. It looks gorgeous. I mean, visually, it looks like a movie. And honestly, it looks better than some movies, visually speaking. So I was really impressed with the visuals, and I think we were all expecting, visually speaking, this show was going to look fantastic. I think everybody, even the people that weren't a fan of what they were seeing, and the people that think this show is going to tarnish the lore that Tolkien made, I think everybody can agree, visually speaking, it's really, really good. And yeah, it's masterful, I would even say. The score, I really enjoyed. I thought the score was really good. Really enjoyed that. I thought the acting all around was good. I thought the actress, and I can't pronounce her first name, but she plays Galadriel, the main character of the show. I think she does a really good job. I think she gives a really good performance in this show. I think the writing in the second episode is pretty good. I don't think it's fantastic, but I do think it's pretty good, if I had to say so myself. Um, like I said, visually, it's great. And I think it does a good job getting you excited for what's to come. It really does, as far as second episode, it really does a good job setting up what's to come in the rest of the series. But yeah, I like the characters. I like the acting. I thought visually it was fantastic. The score is really good. I will say though, there are parts in both episodes where I didn't think was shot the best. Like with the camera, I don't like when the camera's up in the character's face and like the whole frame is pretty much their face. I don't like shots like that. And the first episode did have a scene where there were shots like that. Thankfully, it lasts for like 20 seconds. So it's more of a nitpick for me. But again, I did enjoy the second episode quite a bit. I thought it was pretty good. First episode, I wasn't a big fan of. I just thought it was boring, personally. A lot of good in the first episode and in the second episode, but again, first episode was pretty boring, if I would say so myself. But I am looking forward to seeing what else they do. Overall, I give the show a thumbs up. I think it's going in the right direction. Um, Again, I'm not like someone who's big on the lore of I almost say Game of Thrones, of Lord of the Rings. So correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah, that's gonna do it for this review, guys. And for those watching the news, let's go back to it. But yeah,
Sure.
so now we're gonna move on to our next story. It's the final story for today, and obviously, the first Joker movie came out what in 2018, I believe. It was a movie that lots of people loved. Just Joaquin Phoenix was beloved as Joker in the movie. And they announced, even though initially they said, we're not going to have a second Joker movie, we're just doing the one. That's it. We're going to move on. Well, they announced they're making Joker 2 because when your movie makes $1 billion, you're going to have a sequel for that movie. So Joker 2, they started working on the movie. The screenplay is done. They recently cast Lady Gaga to be in the movie, as we would all assume to be Harley Quinn. She will be alongside Joaquin Phoenix. But we did find out early yesterday that Joaquin or not Joaquin Phoenix, Joker is adding Brenden Gleeson to the movie. Now, me personally, I like Brenden Gleeson. I think Brenden Gleeson's a very good actor. In Bruges, is a movie where he's good in. Paddington 2. If you've seen Paddington 2, he's really, really good in that movie as well. And then, of course, most people are gonna recognize him in the Harry Potter movies as Mad Eye Moody. So he's been in a lot of things, not a lot of big movies outside of like the Harry Potter stuff, but he's been in a lot of stuff. Very good actor.
Mhm.
Now Cody, I don't know how many things you've seen from him, but like what are your thoughts on him being cast in Joker? Is this something that is exciting to you, or is this something that you just don't really care?
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I actually haven't really seen any of the movies that he's been in too
Okay.
much. Funny enough, I actually was never able to watch Harry Potter growing up.
Okay.
My parents just never let me do, and I never really
Yeah.
got into it. So,
Right.
but yeah, so for this one, I may not have a great gauge on if he's going to be good or not.
Yeah.
I definitely think it was interesting that they added like you got Lady Gaga in there as Harley
Yeah.
Quinn. We'll see. I don't know how good of an actor she actually is. Hasn't she? She's
Mhm.
been in a few things, hasn't she?
Yeah, she was in A Star Is Born, and, I will
Yeah.
say, like, I wasn't really big on movies much because we didn't
Yeah.
really see her act, and, yeah, she's great in A Star Is Born.
Yeah. So she probably be fine, but yeah, that
Yeah,
was just interesting to me. That's a bit obviously a big name, and you don't typically think of her as the actress Lady
right.
Gaga. So yeah, I'm interested. It's so weird. Like you have all these different iterations of all these different characters, right? So
Mhm.
obviously you have new iteration of Joker. You haven't, and are we getting that in the Batman? Coming up soon. Another iteration of the Joker, and Harley
Right.
Quinn. We've seen different ones of her. Uh, obviously most famously Margot Robbie. So I'm curious, kind of how Lady Gaga kind of what are the things that she does the same, and what are some of the things she's going to kind of change up a little bit, when it comes to
Right.
Harley Quinn. I'm really interested in seeing, and also kind of how their relationship forms. Like it's just,
Mhm.
it seems like there's just so many different like possibilities here, and I'm really looking forward to kind of seeing how that dynamic's going to work.
Right, and, like I said, I thought she was great in A Star Is Born. She's also in House of Gucci, which not a great movie, but she's definitely, like, one of the things that stands out in a positive way. But I really enjoyed, her in Star Is Born, though, and I do recommend checking that out. Bradley Cooper, was his first movie he directed. He also starred in the movie, and, yeah, really good movie, and, yeah, the movie doesn't work unless she's really good in it, and she earned an Oscar nomination for the movie too. Like, she's really good. But going back to Brendan Gleeson, um, like, I'm not gonna act like I've seen, like, a whole lot of movies, obviously, like I said, Harry Potter stuff, but, Brendan Gleeson, just in what I've seen of him, like I said, in Bruges and, also Paddington 2, he's a really good actor, very good for sure. So I'm sure he's gonna do a really good job in this movie. I'm kind of curious because I've never seen him sing, and Joker 2 is going to be a musical, which is kind of weird, but I think it could work because it's going to be all the madness and stuff, and I'm sure that's going to play a factor. So
Sure.
I'm definitely excited to see what he does when it comes to singing. And yeah, if you haven't seen In Bruges yet, I do recommend seeing that. Really good, like Irish movie, I guess. And then Paddington 2 is a movie you can put on with all the kids, and it's him, Hugh Grant's in it, and a bunch of other people are in it as well. I mean, those two movies are like fantastic. But yeah, let us know your guys' thoughts down below on Brendan Gleeson being in Joker. I believe it's Folie à Deux, I believe is what the official tagline is for the movie. Let us know your guys' thoughts on Brendan Gleeson. What are some of your favorite performances of him? What are some movies that you would recommend us checking out that has Brendan Gleeson in it? And yeah, I think that's gonna do it, Cody. So a little shorter show, which it's all good. Not a lot of movie news. I know, like I said, Rings of Power premieres tonight. It's actually up right now. Um, so gonna definitely have to check that out. We'll add a review for that to this as well. So it's a little longer. But yeah, thank you, Cody, for joining. Let the good people know where they can find you.
Yep. You guys can find me on Twitter at CPFelger55. I mainly tweet cult stuff, not a whole lot of movie stuff. Maybe I will start to get into that a little bit more. But as it stands right now, that's where you can find me there. You can find me on Instagram at the same at CPFelger55. Those are kind of the two primary places you guys can find me.
All right, and you can find me, of course, at horseshoe_pod on Twitter, as well as it's Matt B95, and then of course on our Twitter account, which we will be using, grab_the_remote, and then you can also find me on YouTube at Inside the Horseshoe Podcast. We are 20 subscribers away from 1,500 there,
Hey,
so
there you go.
I'm hoping by the start of the season we can hit 1,500, and
Yeah,
then I'm
man.
hoping by the end of the season we can hit 2,000. That'd be
That's
pretty
yeah,
cool. So,
absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, and then of course, like you guys that bring the juice, you're at what 12.5, or did you go up a little
Yep.
more too?
Yeah, we're getting close, almost to 12.6.
Nice.
So very close to 13K, which is just madness to me.
Yeah,
Doesn't seem real, but very, very thankful. And hopefully this channel can take off like the other one did.
definitely.
So definitely want to be a little bit more active on the social media side of things. I may kind of do some more things with that, with the Twitter,
Mhm.
kind of try to get some people in here and stuff like that. So yeah, just looking forward to a great year.
Absolutely. It's going to be a lot of fun. Again, college football, it's going on right now. So if you guys are into that, then this is obviously an exciting time for you guys. So yeah, that's going to do it. Thank you so much for tuning into the show. I've Matt. That's been Cody, and we shall see you next time. Bye bye.